white meat chicken sandwich. Yep, these two are best flavors forever. Try our new Texas cut bacon chicken sandwiches today. Churches, bringing that down home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations. Lowe's Provember event is back. In celebration of pros, we're offering special values on top tools to get any job done right. Head into Lowe's and check out the largest selection of DeWalt power tools and accessories. Right now, you can get a guaranteed tough DeWalt 20-volt max bear tool free when you buy a DeWalt 20-volt max drill or impact driver kit. Shop in-store or order online. Lowe's, the new home for pros. Valid through 1/5 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Another thing is, without a contest, I was waiting. But it's the one thing. Never lost this. Lost it when you got to me.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
In my journey, I've met many people who have struggled, but their brilliance and their creativity has been largely discredited due to the diagnosis that was given.
Ricky Godoy was a confident, outgoing entrepreneur who refused to let his diagnosis of mental illness define him. Ricky's Compass is a 501c3 nonprofit focused on shattering the stigma that surrounds mental health, and they want to give you a platform to share your mental health journey. Visit rickyscompass.org today and shatter the stigma that surrounds mental illness.
As Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals march into Levi Stadium, the Cardinals have been the surprise team of the season, posting up a 7-1 record so far. The Niners are looking to capitalize on their win in Chicago last Sunday. Can the 49ers defense stop Murray? Can Jimmy G have another big game? Pre-game starts at 12:25 p.m. Sunday on your radio.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to everybody who loves sports or somebody. You gotta love somebody. We all need somebody to lean on. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Today is a beautiful November the 4th, 2021. Don de Deportes, Bonjour, de Vitivici. It's all fair and level war. I do love saying Big C Sports Podcast. It's sponsored all over the world on 17 different podcast applications, from Google Podcasts, Alexa Podcasts, Spotify Speaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Castbox Podcasts, Deezer Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavant out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher, Radio Line, Luminary, and there's a lot more applications coming too. And then we're also on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really appreciate that, but you got to have a smart TV, or you don't. Don't tell a TV it's not smart. Who wants to tell their TV that is not smart? It's all fair and level war. If at first you don't succeed, try again. I love paying homage to Big C Sports Podcast. I love paying homage to my family legacy. A lot of people go to Ancestry.com. I have my Ancestry.com. We don't charge you any money for it. It's actually free. Give that some praise. It's nice to have something free every now and then. And it's basically when I really pay homage to my family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother, her name is Mamo. I called her Hattie Leach. She was actually someone very honest, made sure the family stuck together, did not put up with any shenanigans, but we always had food in our belly. Very smart, loving woman. And then on my mother's side, the patriarch of the family, my great-grandfather, called him Pop. He was a former Negro League baseball player, also made some of the best moonshine, as far as I can tell, in the history of the universe. He was very well known for saying, "Boy, get out of that barn." Oftentimes, you know how sometimes kids go in the barn like, "Man, this lemonade tastes different." It's all fair and love and war, but he was a very good man, made sure that everybody learned how to get along. And then my mother's my grandmother, be my mother's mom, Mud Deer, she was a seer. She could actually see things. She could look at somebody and tell you whether they were good or bad. And she did a lot of that, too. Found a lot of bad apples every now and then. Made them all go get it switched. But Mary, I mean, so many things I'm grateful for. Made sure we all stuck together as a family, that people treated each other fair. Sometimes people don't follow that lead, but she was always on top of that. Then my grandfather Hezekiah, very good person, a seer, made sure the family stayed well together. And then my beautiful mother, she started a Head Start program in Northern California. Give us some praise. I love saying that. Also helped us win the Little League Championship of the universe. Really appreciate that. As a woman, a head coach of a Little League baseball team. And sometimes people say, hey, I don't want to listen to a woman, especially one of them. And she would always say, if you don't want to listen, then just quit. She didn't beg anybody to do anything. All fair and level. I really appreciate that about my mother. And then on my father's side of the family, my grandfather, his name was Albert Curry. He was a pastor, started 2 churches in Oakland, California, and also owned 2 service stations. And then with my grandmother, her name was Alberta Curry. They worked together in the church, also in the service stations. Really appreciate the love and the togetherness that I got from them growing up. And then my father, he was a retired Air Force mechanic, fighter pilot, made sure that planes could fly high so that we could all stay safe at night. Give them all praise. I love giving my family praise. It's all fair and level. My beautiful brother Todd, he's the one that got, I guess that's where I get my loud, bombastic voice from. He said, man, you talk too loud all the time. He always said that. But I really love the powerful, one of the most intelligent people I ever met in my life, always read books. And then, as I always say, what I love about Big C Sports is let's get ready to rumble. I love saying that because it's true. As you always get ready to rumble in life, SP dominated Big C Sports by Dixie Corporation. There's no scripts. There's no 3-way teleprompters to look at. There's no producer in my ear telling me, hey, Charlton, say this or say that. All I got in my ear is a little bit of earwax, and I'm going to keep it because it's good to cook with. And don't laugh, because a lot of people cook with something. If you run out of grease, earwax is in. And then I always pay homage to my son, Malcolm, who's always giving me NBA stats. He's all over it, very intelligent young man, a college student. Really appreciate him. My daughter, Daisy, she would help me set up for college programs when they would come to the West Coast, and would get them settled in to figure out what they're going to do for the upcoming sports season. So I really appreciate that with my beautiful children, and also a Big C in the past with his wealth of knowledge. Give them all praise. I love giving them praise. Giving them all praise, praise, praise. Really do appreciate that. I love doing Big C Sports podcast, always rising and shining no matter what. I produce the show. I do direct the topics. I do broadcasting of all the shows, the sound effects, the commercials outside of what the industry does, the agency in New York City. I provide the stats, the storytelling. We just heard of the pitch, swung on, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home runs. Say hello to my little friends. Congratulations again. The Atlanta Braves winning the World Series 2021. They're going to have a parade in Atlanta tomorrow. It's kind of odd, though. They've already talked about segregation in the South. They're having 2 parades. They're having one in downtown Atlanta, where it's very diverse in downtown Atlanta. And then they're having a second parade out in the suburbs, where it's mostly white. And you wonder, what in the world? They've invited everyone to their stadiums, but they moved from a more diverse part of Atlanta up to north part of Atlanta, where it's more segregated. Why have 2 parades? That's going to segregate your people again. Atlanta's been known for voter obstruction, at least the state of Georgia, but the mecca of Atlanta has been mostly diverse. But they're having 2 parades, one where it's diverse, mostly people of color, and then one where it's mostly white. That doesn't make any sense. When the 49ers or the Giants or the Warriors had a parade, they didn't have one in Oakland and then one out in San Francisco or one out in the suburbs. They had them downtown where everybody could come. I don't know why Atlanta's doing that. That's kind of weird to me when you think about it. We're having 2 parades, one for black folks and one for white folks. Doesn't make any sense, as they just celebrated Hank Aaron. So if they're hammering Hank Aaron, is his numbers painted on their outfield, which parade would Hank Aaron have gone to? The one where the crowd is diverse, or where it's mostly white in northern Atlanta? It doesn't make any sense. I think they got that wrong after winning the World Series. But hey, I can't please everybody. That's my own opinion. I want to also make sure, as I pay homage, I upload every show. It goes to 17 podcast applications and then 4 TV platforms. I always do that. I've never missed a show since doing Big C Sports September 12th, 2015, and I do it in the black and white part of town. I don't move my podcast to a white part of the city or a black part of the city. I think that's really bad for the Atlanta franchise to do that. But you know that what they're going to take with them no matter where they go? And the crowd will cheer. I don't know if that's an insult or paying homage. But why would you have an optic for young people that you're trying to get into baseball? You're going to have a celebration downtown. where everybody congregates, and that's where they have the older ballpark that was built for the Olympics. And then the new ballpark, they built it, I guess it's Truist Field, up in northern Atlanta, up in the suburbs, where it's mostly white. What is that saying to your fans? That must be as kind of a slap in the face for the African-American fans and even the decent white fans. They've already dealt with voter obstruction in Georgia. Now they're going to have a celebration for the Braves in two parts of the city that are distinctly known by their separation of color, the skin color line. That's a joke to me. But hey, they won the World Series and some people don't care. It's all fair in love and war. I also want to say I honor the Bible. I honor God every show. As Genesis 13:15, one of my favorite verses, it says, "For all the land that thou seest will I give thee, and thy seed forever." Give God some praise. And I also say in the book of James chapter 4, verse 2, we have not because we ask not. So if you want something, just ask. You got to always make sure you ask. The answer is either yes or no. You can never tell if you don't ask. I also want to say I'm asking everyone to pay attention to our veterans. You know, which one would the veterans go to the ballpark in Atlanta? Would they go to the celebration downtown where it's more diverse, where the Atlanta Falcons play? Also, FC Atlanta, they have a soccer team in Atlanta. They play downtown. The Atlanta Hawks, they also play downtown. So if the Hawks were to ever win, when they won and got into the playoffs, did they go have two separate celebrations? When the Falcons won the NFC Championship and went to the Super Bowl, and they lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots, did they celebrate the NFC Championship game by having a parade in two parts of Atlanta? I think that's really bad on baseball. And maybe the commissioner is okay with it, but to segregate your fan base by having two separate celebrations, maybe some of the white patriots don't want to go downtown where it's more diverse, or some of the black ones don't want to go uptown. I mean, I have no idea, but it's a bad look, and I think they need to give some fans, give everybody a chance to celebrate. But they say, Kool and the Gang, celebrate good times, come on! Kool and the Gang didn't sell to a white audience or a black audience. They sold to everybody, all friend, love, and war. The Veteran Crisis Hotline, there is no white Veterans Crisis Hotline. There's no one for people of color. It's a Veterans Crisis Hotline. It's for everybody because all different colors serve this country. I think if you look into what's happening in Atlanta for the Braves, that's a horrible thing that they're doing. Redlining is illegal. And they're taking two celebrations. One where it's mostly people of color downtown Atlanta, and then went out to the northern suburbs where it's mostly white. What are they telling their fans? Especially the young people that they want to believe in the tomahawk chop. If you're a veteran, or know any veterans going through any type of issue, they are really experienced helping veterans and their loved ones. Pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and give our veterans some praise. Give them all praise no matter what color they are. They don't segregate the military since 1947. Maybe the Atlanta Braves did not get that memo. They're celebrating and segregating their celebration for the Braves winning the World Series. For people outside of Georgia, they may not even know what I'm talking about. But that's a shame, in my opinion, is all fair and love and war. In the meantime, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, ATT, Uverse TV, of the used to be first place San Francisco Giants of Major League Baseball. When you reach out to them, just tell them that Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents to help people get property listings back on TV, just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships are doing it. Sports teams are doing it. Nike does it. And then get people in real estate to realize it's a great industry to be a part of. Go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage and United Wholesale Lenders, the number 1 and 2 lenders in the country on the wholesale side. Give it some praise. Swipe left and swipe right to lower your interest rate. It's all fair in love and war. In the Atlanta Braves, it doesn't matter what color you are when you want to look at the real estate industry. Give that some praise. Equality is back. Take a look at the Atlanta Braves celebration. One's in the predominantly black part of town. The other celebration's in the predominantly white part of town. Who in the world organized that? Doesn't make any sense. I want to say also thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. He didn't say it for black Americans or white Americans. He said it for everybody. But the Atlanta Braves have two celebrations for the World Series as they celebrate Hammer and Hank Aaron and the Tomahawk Chop They have a white part of town and a black part of town. You can Google it for yourself on Friday for 2 celebrations. Today's show is also sponsored by the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% on this game, sportsman. When you're watching the big game, you can eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. It's exclusively for Big C sports fans, all Fred Level War. And I'm rumoring that, and I believe it because I've tried it. It tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hands. Try that. But whatever you do, I've guaranteed it. It does taste better in your mouth than it does in your hands. But I also guarantee, do not eat chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream or Rocky Road ice cream with burritos. I can guarantee that. I guarantee it's not a good mix if that makes sense to you. No chocolate ice cream, Rocky Road ice cream with burritos. That's not a good thing, even though it gives you a lot of energy. It's all fair and love and war. Really appreciate everything that's going on in the sports universe. We got some football tonight. Also going to talk about some NBA basketball and some college football. Also, the rankings, people still upset about that. Even got some NFL power rankings. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about those things in the words of the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we are back to the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications. It's all fair and love and war. The Atlanta Braves, can you believe that? They are celebrating 2 World Series championships in the city on Friday. If it wasn't real, you just have to do it for yourself. We know about the voter obstruction that happened down in Georgia. We know that Stacey Abrams was big on getting people out to vote. And now the Atlanta Braves, they moved from downtown Atlanta. They used to play at Fulton County Stadium, where the Falcons also played. Then they built the stadium out by, I think it's called Centennial Park, where they had the 96 Olympics. Diverse parts of town. But now, you know what they've done? Last couple of years, they built the new Truist Ballpark out of northern Atlanta, which is mostly white. Nothing wrong with that. Live where you want to live. But segregation is so pungent in the South, and now they're going to celebrate the championship of the 2021 World Series by appeasing 2 distinct crowd bases. People in Atlanta know what I'm saying. Most of downtown Atlanta, that city is about 70% African American. It's known as the Black Mecca. So the Braves, which has a lot of Dominican players of color, and white players too, they're telling their players, we are one team, we are one league, and we are owned by the people. So why are they having 2 celebrations? One in the predominantly black part of Atlanta, the other in the predominantly white part of Atlanta. And you can Google it. If you don't know Atlanta, maybe you don't know that. But watch the parade tomorrow. It's a crazy thing. They're going to celebrate, but I guess you're not invited if you're not the right skin complexion. You think about segregation in the South, and you think about voter obstruction, and that to me is just a bad thing, especially when sports is supposed to bring people together, to unite people based on their differences. I know people talked about Houston and how they had the scandal of cheating on baseball. Well, all the baseball players, they check the gloves and the hats of every team, not just the Astros. So somebody has been doing something wrong. But if you can watch the eyeball test and you're trying to bring people more to baseball, and you're the commissioner, Manfred, and not that you can tell them what to do, but the brass of the Atlanta Braves having 2 celebrations for the World Series, one downtown Atlanta, mostly integrated, mostly black, and the second celebration, they're going to have it in northern Atlanta, mostly white, and that's a shame. And most people, it goes right over their head because everybody has their eyes closed because they celebrated hammering Hank Aaron. Isn't that something? Think about that. They celebrated hammering Hank Aaron. They still do the tomahawk chop, and now they're celebrating 2 different parts of Atlanta for their celebration. They didn't do that in Oakland when the Golden State won. They didn't do it when the 49ers won, and I don't think they did it in Los Angeles. They didn't have one in a white part of town and the other in downtown L.A. They celebrated in downtown L.A. near the Staples Center. So to me, it's a joke what they're doing. but it's all fair and level where give them some praise. The players want it. I doubt if the players had a say-so in doing it, but somebody should look into that. That's just garbage league in my opinion. Are you ready for some football? Yes, you are. But first, we're going to get into some NBA basketball, some of the player stats. If you can think about who the best basketball players are in the NBA, I'm going to say, of course, everyone says Kevin Durant. They say LeBron James. I say Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's a lot of great players in the NBA. Last year's former, right now the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic. And when I look at some of the points per game, again, the season's early. They just got out into getting in the fast break and finding their rhythm. But if you want to look at the number one scorer in the NBA as of today, or I'm just going to say through 7 games, that's the great King Paul George. Give the great King Paul George, give him some praise with the LA Clippers. He averages about 34 minutes a night, and he's averaging 29 points a game. Isn't that something? 29 points a game, shooting 51% from the floor. Isn't that something? That guy's doing his thing. And when you think about it, averaging per game, his 3-point, he's averaging right about 9 points a game, 3-point, shooting 42% from 3-point range. So think about the King Paul George. He was the reason that the Clippers were able to do so well last year in the playoffs because Kawhi Leonard got injured. So it was all about Paul George, and people were saying, can he really carry the team? If you think about it, in the bubble, the great King Paul George also he took some time for some mental health issues, as a lot of players are no longer afraid to talk about that. Thank God for that. Give the players who are willing to come out and talk about mental health a checkup from the neck up. Everybody needs it. I need it. You need it. We all need it. The great King Paul George talked about that. And now he's leading the NBA in points per game. Isn't that something? 29 points a game. Number 2, maybe the best player in basketball, but I just wonder if Kevin Durant is regretting that he left the Golden State Warriors that had Coach Kerr, the great coach. They have 5 NBA championships. Steph Curry, the only unanimous MVP of the league, and the 2-time NBA MVP. I know Durant was a 2-time finalist MVP. They have Draymond Green, who's a defensive stopper, and then Klay Thompson when he comes back off the men. And you have a solid organization that all they do is win, win, win. Warriors, come out and play. But he didn't want to stay there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he went over to have a super team on the East Coast in Brooklyn Barclays Center. And when you think about it, James Harden, his numbers are down because the league doesn't let him get away with that flopping. He'll swing his arms into you and then flop back like he was hit by Mike Tyson. That was a foul 2 years ago. NBA said, no, not so fast, my friend. So Harden's point total is down. Kyrie Irving, he decided not to be a part of the team right now, refused to get the COVID vaccine. A lot of people jumped on Kyrie Irving for that. He's black. In football, Aaron Rodgers, NFL MVP, he's white. Not too many people jumped on him. They said, well, that's just Aaron being Aaron. Think about that, okay? Everybody was saying that Kyrie's so responsible. He's putting people at risk and health. Come on. Who's doing that about Aaron Rodgers? They're just saying he has to be sometime able to fall on this sword too, or he's arrogant. 2 different reactions. One guy's black, one guy's white. People were saying, well, fire him, kick him out of the league if Kyrie doesn't want to take the vaccine. They're not saying kick Aaron Rodgers out of the league. It's just a thought. But Durant, you think he is in a better situation? On paper, maybe you would have thought so. You would have thought that Brooklyn's in a better situation than Golden State because he didn't know at the time, but James Harden joined them. I mean, he could shoot the lights out in any gymnasium, in any arena. But now the NBA is cracking down on that flop and that arm hook where he'll bring his arms under the defender and then fall back like he was hit. They're not falling for that. His point totals are way down. Now it's just Durant. So Durant, through 8 games, he is averaging about 34 minutes a night. He's averaging 28 points per game, which is good. Not like Michael Jordan's 30 points or 32 points a game when he played. And then from the floor, you look at Durant shooting about 60% from the floor. I mean, he's an amazing shooter, and no one can stop him. And his 3-point shooting, 31%, actually 37% from 3, and he averaged about 4 points a night and 3 points. So give Durant some praise. But can you imagine if Durant stayed with Golden State? Steph Curry's always consistent. Klay Thompson's on the mend from his ACL tear. Draymond Green's always consistent. I mean, Steve Kerr, he's consistent. His coaching staff is consistent. And now he has Nash as the head coach. He's not the same pedigree as Coach Kerr. So look at the stability of Golden State right now. Even though they took their lumps 2 years ago, they were knocked out. They had the play-in game last year. They were knocked out by the Memphis Grizzlies. But could you imagine Durant and Curry? They were almost a shoe-in for the NBA Finals every year. The last Finals that Durant made, he made it with Golden State. He didn't make it where they thought they were going to make it last year in Brooklyn. And if they don't get Kyrie Irving back and the league doesn't fall for the James Harden flop, the arm flop anymore, where he hooks his arm under a defender and falls back like he was hit by Mike Tyson, they're saying, no, my friend, not so fast. They're not giving him that anymore. So that's going to hurt Brooklyn, in my opinion. It's going to be hard for them to win the championship. I want to go to last year's 2020 MVP, or you could say the 2021 NBA MVP, for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Give him praise. King Giannis. He's addressed as King Giannis Antetokounmpo by Big C Sports. 8 games played, averaging about 27 points per game. That's pretty solid for him. Shoots 50% from the floor. You can get 51 if you want to say that. At 3-point percentage shooter, it's not the best in the world. Shoots 31% for 3, averaging about 4.8 points per game from 3. And so when you look at Giannis and how dominant he is, they're also, they're out of the blocks a little bit slow. It's not like they're going to win a championship every year. It's been 50 years since winning the last championship with the great Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But when you think about Giannis, he's only going to get stronger and better. He learned how to play last year. Got a lot of criticism from a lot of people. They were all calling him King. At least some people were. I called him King Giannis. I don't call him the name that some of the people like calling derogatory names. But King Giannis doing his thing, the third leading scorer right now in the NBA, 27 points a game. Think about DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is the fourth leading scorer in the NBA. And through 8 games, he averages about 35 minutes a night and 27 points per game. Give him some praise. DeMar DeRozan, he had to leave. He had to change teams, and now he's back in the saddle again. He averages shooting from the floor, 50% from the floor, so you got to give him credit for that. He shoots 38% from 3. Doesn't shoot a lot of threes, though. He's only averaged about 2 points, about a basket per game on 3 points. And he's a good player. And DeMar DeRozan, obviously, when he was teamed with Lowry, they've been having their 1-2 punch up in Canada when they won the championship. But people move on, things change. And I want to bring you to number 5, the 5th leading scorer, which is tied with DeMar DeRozan, who's a superstar in the making. Maybe, just maybe, needs to get into the weight room a little bit. Through 8 games, the great Ja Morant, averaging 35 minutes a night and also 27 points per game. And he's a star in the making. Ja Morant, my son Malcolm told me about him. He shoots 52% from the floor. He has superstar written all over him. Helped knock the Golden State Warriors out of the playoffs last year. And the only team to beat Golden State this year because of the great Ja Morant. He's a lot to handle, but he's going to have to get into the weight room, I think, just a little bit more. He shoots 36% from 3 points, so not the greatest, average about 5 points a game from 3. When you think about it, I like his game, but he's gonna, if you look at Michael Jordan when he came into the league out of North Carolina back in the early 80s, Jordan put a lot of size on. Compare the early Jordan to where the Jordan that won 6 championships in 8 years. A little bit different muscle tone. Kobe Bryant, compared Kobe when he came out of Lower Merion High School and got in with the Lakers. Look at his first couple of years to his last couple of years with the Los Angeles Lakers. Put on a lot more size. Look at LeBron James when he came out of St. Akron St. Vincent High School in Akron, Ohio. Look at his first couple of years in the league. Look at LeBron now. LeBron looks like he's a football player because he's always in the weight room. A lot of the star players, they realize that even Steph Curry, when you think about how good he is, look at his size when he came out of Davidson compared to his muscle structure now. He's doing a good thing. He's in the weight room. Drummer, I have to do that too. Jaylen Brown, through 7 games, averaging 37 minutes a night, 27 points a game. Give Jaylen Brown some praise. He's doing his thing. He's 51% from the floor. 37.7% from 3-point range, about 7 points a night on threes. So he's a star player too. Still, I feel a lot like Ja Morant. Got to put a little bit more muscle on for that duration and long-lasting body types that you're seeing now. More and more you're seeing these NBA players that look like they could play NFL football. Steph Curry, he's a lot more muscular now than he was a couple years ago when he came into the league. He's 33 years old. and he's working on his body more the way football players do. Maybe they're eating the same Big C burgers. A tasty burger that comes with all those exotic meats. They're all eating the Big C burgers, all for a little more. I'm going to finish off with Steph Curry. When you look at the power scorers in the NBA, we have Paul George, Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, DeMar DeRozan, John Morant, Jaylen Brown. I'm going to finish with Steph Curry. He's averaging 35 minutes a night. That good boy is dropping 27 points a game. Give him some praise. He has a good team. Golden State will make the Western Conference Finals this year if they stay healthy. They don't even have Klay Thompson back yet. He'll come back like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. He'll be back in the saddle. It's all fair and level war. When you look at Steph Curry, the guy can flat out play. He can flat out score. He never stops moving. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Also, when you look at it from three, shoots 37% for three. Give him some praise. Give him some praise, 37% for three. Average 13 points a night from three. From three! Give him some praise. The crowd likes to chant Steph Curry's name. So that's where I stand right now. You also have Nikola Jokic and Anthony Davis, as well as Zach LaVine. They're all right about 25 points per game. But NBA basketball is fantastic. I love what we have with those top players. When you look at what it takes to be a top player in the NBA, it takes players that can score. In order to score, you got to have some muscle on your bones, some meat on your bones, and a lot of those top players are doing that. They understand it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when I come back. And I tell you, everybody has their own thoughts on what it's going to take to win an NBA championship. I think it's going to be, people might laugh at this. I'm not a front runner, but Golden State and the Lakers most likely will come out of the West just because they know how to win. And maybe, just maybe, people may not want to admit this too, they may get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to calls. I know Utah always has a top team, but they haven't made the NBA Finals since the great Karl Malone played there, and they got knocked out by Michael Jordan. So you think about, NBA is about players' names. You think about that. It's about players' names, and there's some big-time players, some MVP players, LeBron James with the Lakers, Anthony Davis with the Lakers, Russell Westbrook with the Lakers, and with the Golden State, you look at Steph Curry, and when Klay Thompson gets back, you also have Draymond Green. And they have some of the greatest coaching in NBA basketball. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. In the words of the former California Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications and 4 TV applications. Is all fair in level war. Tonight we have, are you ready for some football? Of course you're ready for the football. Everybody's ready for football, but it's the Jets. It's the Jets. And the Jets are playing the Indianapolis Colts. The Jets, when you think about it, they've lost 17 of their past 23 night games, dating back to 2012 when they had the butt fumble. And so the Jets they're playing a game, and they're playing the Indianapolis Colts. Both teams have been kind of struggling a little bit. I'm talking about them later coming up in the Big C's NFL power rankings. But the Jets, when you think about it, I know Salah's got them playing defensively. They're trying to play better. Zach Wilson got knocked out of the game, so he's trying to get back up. But the Jets, primetime misery, they hope it comes to an end. I think about the butt fumble. When you think about the New York Jets back in prime time, and that's the biggest city in the United States have the Giants and the Jets, and they're playing the most pathetic football in the NFL for a major city, obviously. Compare that to the Rams and the Chargers and Los Angeles. And you look at what the Jets are doing in New York, the biggest city. So I don't really have a lot of hope for the Jets this year. It's kind of a rebuilding for them. The Jets are 2-5. They hope to start a new trend tonight. Tonight, the great Ryan Stewart saying tonight. I doubt it for them. It's going to be all right. And then you look at the Colts. They're 3-5 at Lucas Oil Stadium. The game's already underway. Kicked off at 8:20 p.m. East Coast time on Fox and the NFL Network. But you think about things moving in the right direction. The Jets got to win over the Cincinnati Bengals at home. So you got to give that some praise. They got to win over the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals that a lot of people were picking to challenge the Baltimore Ravens, and they just might. And then Carson Wentz last week at home had inexplicably a turnover in the end zone that was an interception return. It was caught really right around the 1 yard line, and run into the end zone by Tennessee. So they lost that game to Tennessee. So he has a lot to prove. Can he overcome that bad performance that has a lot of people just shaking their head at what happened with Carson Wentz? We'll see what happens. And that's my story. Now I'm sticking with it. But just looking at the Colts, they delivered a crushing season sweep from the Tennessee Titans. Now, they delivered news that Henry's, when you think about the Colts, that Henry's injury showed some games against the Jets and the Jaguars in the next schedule way too early to count out Indianapolis because, you don't have that big locomotive in the backfield, touchdown Derrick Henry for Tennessee. That gives Indianapolis a little bit of hope. Just a little bit of hope. Houston's not going anywhere. Neither is Jacksonville. So the crowd can still have some hope tonight, but they got to find a way to beat the Jets. Now for the Jets, when you think about it, quarterback Mike White, a lot of people got to apologize to him because Mike White came in and upset the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Think about that. Among the league's worst backups, the question now is how long will he remain a starter? I think when Wilson comes back, they'll put him back in the saddle. But you got to give the Jets some praise. Well, Saleh got a win over a team that had blown out the Baltimore Ravens before. Can they do the same thing tonight in Indianapolis? I don't know yet, but they're on the road. To have them win back-to-back games, I doubt if that's going to happen. We'll have to see. I don't give out scores, but it's just a matter of saying, can they get things turned around? And they're going to have to figure it out soon because Carson Wentz needs help on offense and mainly have to help himself. Michael Pittman Jr., wide receiver, and running back Jonathan Taylor keep those good old boys intact tonight. I'm looking at the Jets defense. Can they stand up and mount a stop just like last week when Tennessee was able to go into Indianapolis and they were the underdog and they came away with the win? It's all fair and level war. May you have the best Thursday night football game in the universe. Really appreciate that. I'm going to talk about some of the NFL power rankings. And again, it's a week-by-week deal. Everybody has their own opinion, but I'm going to give my thoughts on the NFL power rankings. And I'm going to just start at the bottom. You have the Detroit Lions coming at number 32. Give them some praise. At least they're not number 33 because the NFL won't expand yet. But the Lions are 32 in NFL power rankings. You have a Hall of Famer wide receiver Calvin Johnson on the 0-16 team in 2008. And right now, this team could go 0-17. I think they'll mess up and beat somebody. They don't want to have the record. Hey, if you can't go 17-0, why not go 0-17? It's all fair, another one. Man, the Houston Texans, it might be a blessed clarity on the Houston's quarterback issues this weekend, meaning the return of Tyrod Taylor, of course. Houston Texans are struggling. It all started with not having Deshaun Watson, so I had them at Big C's number 31 in the NFL power rankings. I still got to give them praise. They haven't quit. Yes, it's all fair level work. Man, this segment sponsored by the Big C Burger is a tasty burger that comes with what's all this exotic meat. The Miami Dolphins, give us a praise. They're coming at number 30 for Big C's NFL power rankings. They got to have a bad defense. They're really bad defense right now. They run the ball fewer than anyone else. So why do we keep asking Brian Flores about quarterback Tua Tagovailoa? Maybe it's time to broker in a trade for Khalil Mack. They got to find a way to get a better defense down there. We know they all want Deshaun Watson, but they're not going to say it right now. But if you can, go out and get him. I still say Cam Newton, the great Cam. Oh, Cam. If Cam doesn't end up in Carolina, it wouldn't hurt the Miami Dolphins to bring him in. And just give your offense a different look because Tua Tagovailoa is not the guy that can throw the deep ball for them. He's also not going to be able to run out of the pockets. It's all fair level work. I'm going to go number 29, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Jacksonville Jaguars. It's sponsored by the Big C Burger, the tasty burger that comes with what's all this exotic meat. Last I checked, a Jaguar is exotic meat, and you know some people eat Jaguar meat. Don't act like it's just me. That's fair level work. Now, the last time Jacksonville allowed fewer than 20 points, it was back on October of 2019, the last time Jacksonville allowed fewer than 20 points at home. Their defense is bad. I know they're a young team. They're rebuilding. They'll probably be a pretty solid team by next year. It's all fair and level war. The Jets, I just talked about them earlier. They're number 28 on Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I'm going to say give them some praise. Number 27, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger that comes with what's all this exotic meat. The Atlanta Falcons, the last I checked, a Falcon is exotic meat. Think about that. The Atlanta Falcons play downtown. The Atlanta Hawks play downtown. FC United, the Atlanta FC plays downtown. Baseball plays North Atlanta, and they're having a parade to celebrate the 2021 World Series. One is downtown in Atlanta, we're very diverse. The other is up in northern Atlanta, where it's not very diverse. I think that's a bad look for Major League Baseball. The Falcons wouldn't do that. In my opinion, Arthur Blank has a lot more class. I want to say number 26 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Washington football team. Disappointing offseason, disappointing defense, getting a lot better, just in time to look at the offense's inability to score. What a football team. They don't even have a last name. And they're playing unlike the Hogs played back in the day. I mean, they have a solid defense, but their offense just can't score. So I'm going to put them at Big C's 26 in the Power Rankings. Number 25 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all the exotic meats. Last I checked, a panther is an exotic meat. Give the Panthers some praise. They find themselves in the NFC playoff field, though Carolina hasn't put together a good performance so far. Since September, they start sliding some. They have new cornerback at Stephon Gilmore. Maybe he can change things up for Sunday and can provide maybe more solidarity since coming over from the Patriots. I'm going to go with the New York Football Giants. The Big Apple, even though they're in New Jersey. They've lost 9 in a row under the primetime lights. Someone that will just appear just one more time in 2021, barring an unforeseen flex. The Giants, they always talk about, oh my God, we should have kept Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe they should have. Say, come, Barkley's hurt again. They don't have the quarterback they thought they would have. But it's all fair and level where they're in the Big Apple, and they're just not playing Big Apple kind of football. I'm going to go number 23 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's today sponsored by the Big C Burger. It comes with what's all this exotic meat? The Philadelphia Eagles. You know it's right. And last I checked, the eagle is exotic meat, even though I think they're on the do not eat species, endangered species. Protected species, can't eat them. Some guys don't care. If you can't read, you don't know it's eagle or bird. But the Eagles, 2 weeks ago, they ran the ball once before halftime. Sunday, they ran it 46 times. What? They ran it 46 times? And they won? They put 44 points in the war? 46 carries, and they got 44 points. Isn't that something? Almost almost a point for every carry. That's all fair level. I'm going to bring up number 22, the Denver Broncos. This sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. Last I heard, a Bronco is a horse, and a horse is exotic meat. Don't act like you don't eat horse. You probably had it in that last burrito. I think that's what I had in my burrito today, some horse meat. Whatever it is, they eat them in France. They eat them all over the world. But when you think about Von Miller, give him some praise just for being an 8-time Pro Bowler. Von Miller came to Denver in 2011 out of Texas A&M. Now he's in the L.A. Rams locker room. I love L.A. in the L.A. Rams locker room. But their draft picks, he returns, think about it, a second and third rounder for next year. It could be something that starts a building block for the once proud Denver Broncos organization. They have touchdown Teddy Bridgewater, has a hitch in his giddy up, but he's going to have to play better on offense if the Broncos are going to have a run at the NFC West. Think about this. What an exotic day. This segment sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat? Last I checked, it bears exotic meat. It's been 13 years since the NFL team did not net 200 passing yards in any of its first 8 games until now. I think Justin Fields is the real deal. He's going to be a great player. And give him a couple of years under his belt, the crowd will be chanting his name, Justin Fields. We want Justin. Had over 100 yards rushing last week against the top 49ers defense, all fair and level war. I'm going to bring number 20 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The San Francisco 49ers, it's not the exotic meat, of course, but the NFC San Francisco 49ers, they host the NFC West rival Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, and then the Rams the next 2 weeks. Now, that could be sponsored by the Big C Burger. 2 tasty burgers, they come with 2 exotic meats. And the Ram and the Cardinal are exotic meats over the next 2 weeks. It's a stretch that could make or break the 49ers season. Maybe they'll split in those games, but what if they go undefeated in those 2? What if they beat the Cardinals? They almost beat them down in Arizona. And what if they beat the Rams? That would really turn the 49ers season around. If not, it's going to be really uncomfortable for Kyle Shanahan in that 49er brass. Bang, bang, Niner game as they sing in San Francisco. I want to give the Niners some praise for just fighting through and getting that win in Chicago last week. Number 19 in the Big C's NFL Power Rankings, sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats. The Indianapolis Colts. Last I checked, the Colts is exotic meat. You know people eat horse. Don't act like I'm the only guy that eats a horse. You want a horse? Well, get you a horse. That was in the movie Scarface. Oh, fair 11 war. I really appreciate that. I already previewed the Colts. Number 18, my goodness, I'm on a lucky streak. I must buy the winning Mega Million ticket or Powerball because number 18 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, it comes sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. Last I checked, the Seahawks is exotic meat. How about those exotic meat, the Seahawks? They update the injured running back list is something else, but quarterback Russell Wilson, he says, no more pins. It's time to win. I think he wants to get out there and play, but who knows? Why rush him out there? The Seahawks are struggling this year. It's good timing for Russell, but he heads to Lambeau Field on the other side. A tough place to win. And they're going to play him or not? I don't know. He's still injured, and Pete Carroll has a tough season ahead of him. It'd be tough for them to finish in a playoff spot with the 49ers, the Cardinals, and the Rams in that same division. It's all fair and level war. Number 17, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. No exotic meats. The Minnesota Vikings, give them praise. They keep getting close, but close is not good enough. The Cowboys had their number in Minnesota. That was a game that the Vikings could have won. There was no Dak Prescott at the helm. But when you think about it, matters won't get any easier with the defensive end. Daniel Hunter down for the count with a torn pectoral muscle, and that's an out. That one makes it hurt. It's all fair level work. Give him praise. Hopefully he'll be back in the saddle next season. Number 16 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Cleveland, this is for you. Yeah, Odell Beckham Jr., his dad's writing, I guess making videos, saying his son doesn't get the ball enough. There's a couple of times he's dropped the ball too. Yeah, they could throw to him more, but football is not like golf. It's a team sport. And Odell Beckham Jr., he should sit down and talk to his quarterback, Baker Mayfield. You know, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, they always work together. And then Steve Young and Jerry Rice, they work together too. Sometimes players don't like each other and they play a selfish game like they're the only ones out there in the field. I've never met a player that didn't want the ball. But if you don't have the ball, learn to block somebody instead of complaining. The Browns made the playoffs last year, but Odell Beckham Jr. was out. If you have a negative attitude, bad chemistry, bad mojo, get rid of him. Let him go to a team where he can throw the ball to himself. That's my opinion. Get ridden. If you can't get along on a team sport, go play tennis. All friend level war. Number 15 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I got a feeling the Steelers are going on to finish, not in the Super Bowl, but they'll probably finish with a winning season because Mike Tomlin always does. When you think about it, they have Najee Harris who can run the football, and they have a good running game. Big Ben Roethlisberger playing a lot better than people thought he would, and he looks a little bit more like he's more relaxed. He's not trying to rush it. He would have the injured elbow last year. They're playing better. Their defense is playing better. They don't score a lot of points, but their defense can help you. You get 20 points for the Steelers, you have a chance to win, and I'm sticking with that. So I put the Steelers in the 15 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I'm going to tell you also, when you think about this team, they're just so well coached. Got a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin. Can never count out a Mike Tomlin coach team. Number 14 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, they have some issues. They got to get it fine-tuned. Aside from the failures to protect the ball or turn it over, touchdown Patrick Mahomes has to protect the ball better. Going to see how it translates to Kansas City's next 3 games against first-place teams in Green Bay. The Packers come to town. No Aaron Rodgers, so maybe they're going to win that one. And they got Jordan Love to play against the Las Vegas Raiders. You know, the Raiders are playing good football, even though they had Henry Ruggs III, might have caused them to get their minds unfocused. They traveled to play the Giants this week and then followed up with the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the Dallas Cowboys, what a game that could be. Dak Prescott, touchdown, Patrick Mahomes. So before the defending AFC champions arrive at a much-needed bye, they have some big teams to play. All first-place teams, give them praise and wish them luck. Tennessee Titans, number 13, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. They've clawed their way back to the AFC's best record. Unfortunately, without touchdown Derrick Henry, the all-pro running back got a foot injury and had to have some surgery on that, so he's not going to be back in the saddle. They did bring in Adrian Peterson. We'll see if he has any moves, any mojo left when he's running the ball. Number 12 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. And who that say they're going to beat them Saints? The New Orleans Saints. They should bring in Cam Newton. Touchdown Jameis Winston's out because of the torn ACL. They clawed their way back to within half game of the division lead by knocking off the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. Man, I feel bad for Jameis Winston. Got knocked out against this team that he used to play for that traded him. Man, but they have a tough defense. They've beaten the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3 times in 4 games. Give them some praise. They deserve it. But who's going to be their quarterback? Bring Cam Newton in. At least give him a chance. They got to have someone to run pass off, in my opinion. And number 12, actually number 11 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. Who did I say they're going to beat them Raiders? No team in the AFC has fewer turnovers than the Vegas in 5. But the silver and black are back. They remain the top of the division. The offensive line needs to play more improved. And now with what happened with Henry Ruggs III out because of his legal reasons, no one should drive a car 155 miles per hour. Wow. What a tragedy. What a tragedy. And I don't know if that's going to affect the Raiders, but we'll see how they bounce back, if that makes sense to you. Number 10 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Los Angeles Chargers. Man, a pair of tough losses. Sandwiched by their bye week. Quarterback Justin Herbert and company should get right as the schedule serves up more forgiving defenses. They had that game against New England in the bag, and some good old boys made a call out of Las Vegas. They turned that ball over. Just some cynical thoughts coming in from a lot of people. But the Chargers, the Lightning Bolts, man, they got to start winning some close games. They started out so strong, and then they tried to level off some. We'll see what happens with them. Number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Give them good old boys some praise. Jedi Knight Bill Belichick. When you think about it, a 54-point outburst and a road win over the Bolts. They got a big win over the Bolts. You know, they've blown up some teams in their own AFC East. In the past 2 weeks, New England's played a little bit better. You think about it. This is a team that is going to most likely make the playoffs if they can sneak in there. Buffalo's going to win that division. But Bill Belichick, take a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, a solid defense, and they'll find their stride in New England. Don't be too surprised if New England's one of those wild card teams that gets into the playoffs. That's just my opinion. I'm sticking with it. Number 8 is sponsored by the Big T Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. Last I checked, a Bengal tiger is an exotic meat. The defense has been underrated all season. Underrated. People say they can't underrate it. And they got beaten up by the New York Jets. Wow. No one saw that coming after win over the Baltimore Ravens. But when you think about it, this is the team that gives them some praise. I got to give them some praise. They're a lot better than they were last year. A lot better than they were last year. The Bengals, the defense has been underrated, but they're playing good football. Give away the Jets game. That means you're going to lose an upset game every now and then. When we consider how well they're playing, this is the team that could be 7-1 on the season. So they're number 8 Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Number 7 Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Give them some. Oh my God! It's sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. The last I checked, a Raven is an exotic meat. I don't know if you want to eat one, but I heard they can taste good, even deep fry them. But linebackers, Malik Harrison's situation notwithstanding, pretty good bye week for Baltimore, which reclaimed his first place atop the AFC North because the Cincinnati Bengals fell to the New York Jets at the perfect time for the Baltimore Ravens. They got a win by not having to play during their bye week. Now they're back atop the standings, all fair in love and war. Number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. How about the Big C Burger? It's sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat? Last I checked, a Buffalo's exotic meat. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen has 26 touchdown runs, 57 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions in the red zone during his 4-year career. Let's give that boy some praise out of Fireball, California, Central California. You think he might add to those figures Sunday against Jacksonville? It's all fair and level war. It's a road game, but look for him to throw at least 4 touchdown passes. It's all fair and level war. Now, I'm going to tell you something. It may not be sponsored by the Big C Burger, but they sure do eat a lot of Big C Burgers with all those exotic meats down in Dallas. How about them Cowboys? With all those exotic meats and all those exotic meats, when you think about the quarterback controversy, not going to happen. You think about Dallas Cowboys face a team with a winning record. They don't face a team with a winning record until week 12 when they play the Las Vegas Raiders. It should be commended for being conservative with quarterback Dak Prescott having a calf injury. And then they went up to Minnesota and beat Kirk Cousins. You like that, you like that. They're going to win the NFC East. But don't take your foot off the gas. They did that last time Dak Prescott took them to the playoffs. But I think they went to Philadelphia. They started Tony Romo, and they got knocked out in the first game against the Green Bay Packers. You got to keep that mojo going. If Dak Prescott is able to play, let him play. You want to play? You play to win the game. Number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're not sponsored by the Big C Burger, but they sure eat a lot of Big C Burgers with exotic meats. When you think about a bad loss to New Orleans, a team Tampa Bay cannot seem to beat unless they're in the playoff game, when it doesn't really count all that much, the Buccaneers are 6-2 at this point. And think about it. They were just like last year. They were 6-2. They had the league's number 1 passing offense. Touchdown Tom Brady is really solid at making the right read, but he made a bad throw in the game against New Orleans and was a pick 6. And will that stick in his craw? Probably not. They'll get by it. They didn't have Antonio Brown, which took away one of his sure-handed receivers. So they'll get back in the saddle when they get Antonio Brown back. And a week off would do the old guys a lot of good. It makes sense to him. This segment is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat? Last I checked, in Arizona Cardinal is an exotic meat. You know you eat Cardinals. The 1972 Dolphins, they're safe. They didn't get the undefeated season they were looking for. If this isn't the man you're looking for, is this the man you're looking for, or this isn't the drone you're looking for? This isn't the droid you're looking for. Something about Star Wars. This is not the man you're looking for, or the bird you're looking for. With the Cardinals, they lost defensive end J.J. Watt and might not have the best version of Murray. He has an ankle injury, and they're on the road against San Francisco. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, whose hamstring limited him to 13 snaps, and week 8 could be an upset waiting for him in San Francisco. They face the same kind of quarterback in Justin Fields, who had 100 yards rushing and about 200 yards passing. But Murray has a hitch in his giddy-up. It's not as tall. So if the bookends for the 49ers can put pressure on the Cardinals, don't be surprised if they drop a game in San Francisco over the weekend. But the Cardinals, they're number 3 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings so far. And I'm not going to, I'll just put it this way. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers did not have his COVID vaccine. He was telling people that he was inoculated or whatever he said. But he wasn't honest about not being vaccinated. And now how many people came in contact with him? They were at a party over the weekend. And other players on the Packers also tested positive for COVID-19. Aaron Rodgers has to sit out 10 games. Last year's NFL MVP. The Packers are rolling right now. But because he's not going to play in this game against Kansas City, there's an outside chance they can pull an upset because of I'm telling you, Kansas City's just not playing good defense. But with touchdown Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I'm going to put them at Big C's NFL Power Rankings number 2. I know he's not playing in this game. Be that as it may, they had a 35-point loss in Week 1. Green Bay won 7 straight. I was there in San Francisco when they got on the winning side with a Crosby 50-yard field goal. 37 seconds left. They took Aaron Rodgers, drove him down the field goal, and won a game over San Francisco. But when you think about it, losing tight end Robert Tonyan to a knee injury, that's a blow to the Packers offense. They're getting key contributions from the likes of running back A.J. Dillon and cornerback Rasul Douglas. But if there's no touchdown Aaron Rodgers, you can't look at them as the best team in football. And now they have a showdown with MVP or former MVP, touchdown Patrick Mahomes. But Green Bay is catching it's hard to say this. Do you have a lot of faith in the Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers? Probably not, but do you have a lot of faith in the Kansas City Chiefs without touchdown Patrick Mahomes playing great football? Maybe not, but I still think because of home and the crowd, Arrowhead Stadium, I'm going to give, if they don't turn the ball over, I'm going to give Kansas City the edge in this just because they're at home. But if Rodgers are playing, I would give Rodgers the edge with the Green Bay Packers. But it's all fair and level war. I'm going to bring you to Big C's number 1 NFL Power Rankings. After I tell you this segment is sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger and it comes with what's all this exotic meat? Last I heard, a ram is exotic meat. You know you eat ram. Ram, oh ram. You know you eat ram. Ram for me. You got to cook it on the grill, all fair and level war. But the Rams are beautiful SoFi Center. Woo, got it better than us. I think the Rams have a solid team. You know, there's a lot of good teams that I covered on Big C's NFL Power Rankings. But you think about the Rams, they're 7-1. They got a loss at home to Arizona, but now Murray, a little bit banged up with his bad ankle. But you think about it, how they're playing such solid football. Now, they have a defense, only one of them is leading the league in sacks. And now think about this. Before they acquired Denver Broncos 8-time Pro Bowler, outside linebacker Von Miller, who has more career sacks, 111, than anybody else in the NFL right now. You can bet that Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers would rather return to outgun the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford in the hopes that they can sidestep that combination. You got Aaron Donald on one side and Leonard Floyd. Put Miller on the other side. Who's going to get outside against the Rams? That's why I got the Los Angeles Rams at Big C's NFL Power Rankings as the NFL top-ranked team on Big C Sports. You can count it, put it in the book. That's Big C's thoughts. I'm sticking with it. It's all fair and level work. Tomorrow we're going to come back on Friday. Happy Friday with Big C. Friday Night Lights for high school football. We're going to highlight the top 10 high school football teams in the country. I got the preview of college football for the top 10 teams in the country, looking at they set up for the bowl rankings. All fair and level war. So far we have number 1, Georgia, followed by number 2, Alabama. Number 3, and people might doubt this, but Michigan State, number 3. And number 4, Oregon, the Oregon Ducks. They're all in the top 4 right now. We'll talk about the matchup coming up tomorrow's show on Big C's NFL Power Rankings. As I will also do the Big C NFL Power Rankings, the preview of NFL football. Are you ready for some football? Of course you are. As we always tell you back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly. You sing like a bee. You rumble, young men, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? And Ali said, I eat all these Big C burgers that keep me light on my feet. That's why I float like a butterfly. I sting like a bee because the Big C burgers keep me light on my feet. That's why I rumble, young men, rumble. That's why I'm always rumbling the Big C burgers. It makes me light on my feet. All fair level up. Everybody rise and shine. My mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage, no matter who or they're dealing with. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. Let's get ready to rumble.